Welcome to Queer Coded Country, where Yeehaw meets Yes Queen.
A podcast about growing up in the South and realizing that it's pretty dang queer. And Hunter, I just have to say, you're giving me like fiery rodeo clown, but also like temptress of the audience.
Yes. I mean, honestly, you were so excited by my outfit that you forgot to introduce ourselves. I'm Hunter.
Okay.
No, let's keep going.
Okay.
It doesn't matter, right? Producer Sammy says it doesn't matter. I'm Hunter.
And I'm Tucker.
And I'm in my Cowboy Carter outfit that still is caked from sweat from that concert. And the funny thing is, too, I just thought of this as we were rolling. We were supposed to film this like a few days after the concert.
Right.
But literally couldn't because I had no voice. Absolutely no voice. And now I'm still giving a little Sophia Bush because I was in Fire Island and I smoked cigarettes all week.
Oh
I'm a vacation smoker. Sorry.
Okay, so speaking of vacation, how's your mom and them?
Okay, mom and them are still recovering from Cowboy Carter.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you...
Full recovery. Yeah.
You do understand because you were there.
Yeah.
Like, it's all I've thought about.
No.
It's the only thing on my mind.
Full recovery mode.
It has taken over my life.
And also, I want to backtrack it a little bit. It's not recovering because nothing traumatic happened to us. And in fact, the opposite, something totally inspirational.
Yes.
And
spiritual
happened to us. And I'm also trying to relive the vibes by like also wearing my outfit and hopefully,
honey, we are already stumbling over our words.
Hoping that I will be able to recreate the feeling that I felt in the sweet honey bucking pit at Cowboy Carter.
Bitch, I'm gonna go ahead and ruin your life.
Okay, please.
There's no way to recreate that.
Well,
you have to just live it.
Well,
but we are here to talk about it.
Yep. And that's why my mom and them is the fact that I'm also still inspired. I literally, when I go to sleep, visions and dreams of this concert. I will go ahead and say it now that I do think it is the best concert that I've been to, hands down, period.
Oh, there's absolutely no question, no debate, nothing.
And I think I would have had that same experience no matter where I would have sat.
Oh, yes, 100%. Yeah. This is a show for the people.
Yep.
And this is commentary on so many things, but it is intentional.
Yeah.
And yes, we were in the pit.
Yeah.
And yes, I felt like she was my friend.
Yeah.
And I was right there with her.
Incredible.
At one point, she was directly over my face.
I can't.
And that changed me.
Yeah.
It moved me.
Yeah.
But anywhere you sit, anywhere you go is good. And I'll be honest, we're going right into it because it's...
Please, I'm already taking notes.
Yeah, you're already writing things down. You've got memories.
It's summer.
Yeah, it is hot in this apartment. And so I would like to go ahead and disclose that I will be dabbing with my official Cowboy Carter merch throughout the night.
Hallelujah.
I'm also wearing my official Cowboy Carter bolo tie.
Amazing.
Premium merch in the pit.
No, premium.
But so when we started the podcast and when we talked about Casey Musgraves and we talked about our divas, like a lot of people, like friends and people on Instagram were like, oh, are you going to talk about Cowboy Carter? Are you going to talk about Cowboy Carter? Honestly, I was like not going to at first. I didn't want to do it at first. I think for a lot of reasons. I felt nervous because she is my everything.
Right.
I love her and I am not a bandwagon fan. I've been on the bandwagon since 1998.
Yeah.
But also, you know, her work is important. Not that she's ever going to fucking hear this.
Right.
But it's like, oh my God, it's like they say don't meet your heroes because you might be disappointed. Well, I feel like don't talk about your heroes because you might be disappointed.
100%.
And also, at the end of the day, I just want to start the episode and acknowledge that this album, Cowboy Carter, is written for and about and in celebration of the Black community and the influence that they had on country music. Not the influence, the origin of country music.
Building blocks.
Yes. Country music does not exist without Black people.
100%.
And so with that, I was also like, I don't want us to be just two white gays talking heads talking about Cowboy Carter and whatever. So I do want to make that clear that like we acknowledge what this album was about. We acknowledge the significance of this album, the reclamation of the roots and the origin of cowboys and country music and all of the things.
Yeah.
And what made me feel like, fuck, we have to talk about this is that I learned way more from this album and what it pushed me to research and discover than I ever learned at Westside High School or any textbook or whatever. I talk about all the time, like, I want to do a series like things I learned on Instagram versus high school or in like, we got the whitewashed version of history. We lived the whitewashed version 100%. Of country music, of all of these things. And that alone is why it's important to talk about and recognize that, you know, we're untangling all of our ties to different things and
what we knew.
Yes.
What we were taught.
Yes. And in this podcast, the whole thing is about reclaiming things that we thought we couldn't be a part of. And so I want to say from the start, country music does not exist without Black people.
Period. That's the end of the sentence.
Yes. And the sounds of country music that you and I grew up with and love and have talked about on this podcast originated on plantations by enslaved people. Like that is what the album is about. And we want to respect that. And we're not here to give you a history lesson on that. We're not here to do anything other than recognize that because of a body of work like this and because of art, it pushed us to challenge how we think and how we grew up and what we learned and what we were indoctrinated with. And all of these messages that were propaganda, which we'll talk about the propaganda that shaped how we grew up. So to see this light in the world that I've admired forever do a country album,
take on something that you know so authentically to you too, and something that is like a part of your DNA, just as much as it was Beyonce's DNA, is huge.
And that I had a misrepresented history of, and that I was told lies about, or not told lies, but not told the truth. It was whitewashed.
You're not getting the full context of how this came to be.
Yes, we lived the whitewashed experience in our bones that Beyonce is bringing to light. And that she is saying, you can't take something that was never yours.
Period.
And that is really why we're talking about it.
Exactly.
And I just feel, one, I fucking love Beyonce. Two, I'm wearing professional bull riding chaps.
Honey, from the source.
Baby,
from the
straight
tap.
From the tap. Like, I'm ready to ride it. And I just want to acknowledge the significance of this album. I want to acknowledge that I have so much more to learn. How the fuck did it take Cowboy Carter for me to investigate the origin of the word cowboy, which was a slur tracing back to Black and Mexican and indigenous cowboys that were like, that's fucked up. And that's the work that still needs to happen and is still ongoing. And that is really, in my famous words, how I want to set the stage. And what we want to talk about, again, we're not here to give you a history lesson, but there are so many queer coded country themes that resonated with us.
100%. And this is all to say that the queer experience is not translated from the Black experience. While yes, there are absolutely connectivity and connection between the two, this podcast is coming from us as two white country queer people from the country, from the South. And that is our personal experiences that we're going to be speaking from.
Yes.
But they are intertwined in quite a way.
Yes.
That is very beautiful, and not to undermine any sort of experiences that the Black community or Black culture is going through or has gone through or has impacted on the entirety of country music as a whole.
Yes. And that is the beautiful thing about art.
Right. That's what I was going to say. This is art.
This is art. Well, it's also theater.
We'll get to
more on that. But that's the thing is like, yes, that is the power of Beyonce.
Right.
She is so much bigger than honestly anything. She's my God.
She's your deity.
But it's so much bigger. And that's the beautiful thing is that she writes this to make commentary on society, on all of these different things. But art inspires. And bitch, I'm mother Birkin inspired.
Yeah.
And that's
me too. I felt so inspired just witnessing everything in a compact, tight 3.5 hours that tells a story of raising people who have been underrepresented for so long and doing it in a way that reimagines the history and brings together something also so future-proofing in a way that dispels anything that we know about what a genre actually is, which we will get into.
Yes. Well, that's the whole thing. Like, this is a community, community, the country music community that is racist.
Yeah.
And they do not support marginalized communities.
Yeah.
That is one of the founding pillars of this podcast.
Yeah.
We felt that we could not exist on the farm or in the rodeo circuit or all of these things because we were gay.
You can't have multiple identities. You have to be this one type of version of yourself because much like genres, personalities, nationalities, demographics, communities, or whatever are defined by very limited terms, unfortunately.
And there's no space for queer people. There's no space for Black people. There's no, oh my God, I could go on.
Hopefully it's changing.
What's changing and what's important is work like Cowboy Carter.
And the cultural icons that are very, very visible to be able to do that is what I'm trying to say.
Yes. And people that have a platform.
Right.
We talked about this on the Casey episode and Follow Your Arrow.
Yeah.
Like, she wasn't going to abandon that for anything.
Right.
Beyonce's not abandoning anything. She is the epitome of like, fuck all of you. I'm going to do this. And go ahead.
Because she hasn't limited herself to be defined by one type of persona or one type of genre or one type of whatever it may be, to allow herself to be able to change, much like Casey said in her concert to us, like, thank you for letting me be multiple types of a person and allowing me the room to grow and learn and change and right the wrongs that I have made or that my culture has made and everything. And Beyonce's been doing that since
day one.
Not just Cowboy Carter. Obviously, we've had Renaissance and prior to that.
Oh my God. Dating back to DC3, baby.
DC3.
But like, that is it. And that's what we want to unpack here. The themes of Cowboy Carter are rooted in reclamation. And envisioning a life different than what we've been given or what has been whitewashed. It is all about just taking what was already yours that you felt like you couldn't be a part of.
Yeah.
And I hope that everyone listening will be curious and dig into these things. The way that I also want to comment on the theme of intentionality.
Yeah.
Everything she does is intentional and everything ties back to some meeting. And she starts the show with American Requiem, which I fucking love. And the quote, for things to stay the same, they have to change again. And also a funeral for fair weather friends.
Yeah.
That's how I feel right now. We have reached a point in the political climate that there is no middle ground.
Yeah.
There is no No.
Yeah.
It is a funeral for fair weather friends. You do not get to claim to love me, but disrespect and attack the trans community. You do not get to claim to support me and be proud of me and whatever. I call that tolerating.
Yeah.
You tolerate me, but you don't stand behind everyone in the queer and trans community.
It's whitewashed allyism.
It is. It's pink washing. It's all of the things. So funeral for fair weather friends, fuck them.
So, yeah, sayonara.
But also, this quote struck me so hard. Never ask permission for something that belongs to you.
Yeah.
And I think that is so powerful because you were the son of a farmer.
Yeah.
You were out there living that. I was barrel racing. Yeah. I was doing those things. That belonged to us. That was who we were. Yeah. And people took that from us. They felt like we couldn't exist in those spaces, or we could exist in those spaces, but they weren't for us.
Or be the most expressive version of yourself in that space that you wanted to be.
Yes. And so
limited within the genre of rodeo, of farming, of Southern culture.
And that
conservatism.
Yes. And that is why, like, this album, Cowboy Carter, the parallels, it's about reclamation. It's about taking something that was yours that people said couldn't be and bringing it back. That's why we started this podcast, bitch.
Yeah. 100%
to reclaim what we felt like we had to walk away from. It challenges what it means to be patriotic and patriotism. Bitch, I've never felt more proud to be American than I was in that goddamn concert. It's taking that back. It's saying that you don't have to live in the box that people put you in.
100%.
And it's reimagining a world, specifically Cowboy Carter is reimagining a world of America and this idea of Americana through a Black and feminist lens. Bitch, we have full episodes about what our world could be like if we didn't have all of these things.
100%.
And that is why I feel so connected to it, is because, yes, this album is about the Black community, the roots of country music, the origins, the foundation in which we enjoyed the whitewashed version of, but it's so parallel in many ways to why we're sitting here right now.
100%. I wrote this down. Cowboy Carter reimagines country music and Americana through Black roots. This podcast is very similar and inspired by seeing people who do just that. We reimagine a world where we are free to be queer people who embrace their history but reimagine it.
Yes. Ooh, bitch!
100%.
Oh my God, we're gonna be here for 1,000 hours. Sorry, producer Sammy, because I could go forever. So let's start with, like, what is your connection to Beyonce? What's your background with her? What's your journey?
So I grew up as an only child.
We know. Bitch, we know.
So I grew up as an only child. And so through that, I remember in high school and middle school and elementary school, like constantly seeking culture through other people and through making friends and wanting to understand, like, what is the music that we're listening to? Like, what are we loving? What are we not loving? All of that, for better or for worse. And I remember my cousins in Texas gifted me the Survivor album.
I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna stop.
Let's not talk about apple pie a la mode.
Bitch! Brown-eyed girl.
Or using nasty,
trashy, sleazy, classy, nasty. Put your clothes on. I told you. Don't walk out your house without your clothes on. I told you.
I know.
Apple pie a la mode and the gospel medley.
Oh.
Closest I've been to God.
I told you. That's why I'm going to read at your funeral.
I forgot. Thank you, Lord. Hallelujah. You've been so good to me.
Michelle, my belle.
You know that's what I said to Anna when we were tripping acid in Paris.
Exactly. So that's the connectivity. So I grew up on Destiny's Child through that album.
Yeah.
And I loved that album. And that was my first like entree beyond hearing the singles of Say My Name and all that.
Yeah.
But then I tapped out and was only listening to like the top 40 like most popular songs of Beyonce, like I Was a Boy, Single Ladies, etc.
Yeah.
And then I really only tapped back in during Self-Titled because I came to visit you in Chicago two or 3 weeks after it dropped, and you truly introduced me in a way that I like had not been introduced before. And because she dropped the visual album and everything, and it was a lot of sounds that she hadn't used before. And it was just so amazing to hear all of that and experience it through you, a true fan who I lived with and had a Beyonce poster in their bedroom.
I still have that
exactly
same poster. Also, you're reminding me of more Beyonce memories, so I'm taking notes.
Sure.
Like, girl.
Like, so really, that was my entry point for really falling in love. And ever since then, have fallen even more in love and have become like, I would consider myself like, maybe not true Beehive because I don't have the years collectively against me, but like.
It's not about years, it's about passion.
Exactly.
So it's funny you saying that, fucking brown eyes. Okay, so I think I've told this story before, but I saw Destiny's Child pre-Kelly, not pre-Kelly, pre-Michelle.
Yeah.
On Smart Guy, 1998. And I made my mom, the episode was called Destiny Fulfilled, and they went to prom with Taj Mahari's older brothers. And I made her drive me to Walmart that night to get the album. Been obsessed since. The Brown Eyes story from Apple Pie a la Mode era. When I went to college, my best friend Devin, I gave her my pillowcase that I was so protective of my bed, I wouldn't let anyone in it.
Yeah.
And I had one pillowcase. And
that changed. Yeah, you're not so protective anymore.
Now I've got 92 people coming in and out all the time.
Sorry.
No, baby. That's who I am. And I like gave her my pillowcase with like a letter that had the lyrics to Brown Eyes when I moved away to college.
Oh my God.
Like that's the faggot I was. And then I've seen her 10 times. I counted
today.
Can I
back up real quick?
Yeah.
What was it in the show or whatever that made you connect so much to her? Destiny's Child?
That's a great question. I don't know if I truly know the answer. I don't know if I've gotten to that part in therapy. But what I know about the two of us is that I feel like you were curious, like you just said, about pop culture and about all of these things and like kind of exploring all of that. I feel like I was less curious. Like I wasn't seeking it out, but when I was exposed to it, I resonated with it. And there was just something about, I think it was the music and the beats and just, it was writings on the wall. Well, and like, it was something so different than I had ever heard before. Because again, previously, whitewashed country music is what in 1998, I was fucking 7, bitch.
Yeah.
I was listening to George Strait, Reba, whatever, which I love, but I hadn't been exposed to anything like that. And I was like, oh my God, it was literally probably hit me. The beats hit me in a way that had me throwing that ass back then.
Throw
like
it, baby.
Literally. And so I think that that's probably what it was. I just felt this energy that I'd never felt before.
Yeah.
And that was what took me. And then, I mean, obviously I became obsessed. And how can you not fixate on Beyonce and Destiny's
They were
Child?
huge.
Yes. So I've seen her 10 times. The first time I ever saw her was the Destiny's Child farewell tour.
Oh my God. Wow.
And my friend's mom, who I've previously called a cunt on this podcast, because she is a cunt, but she worked at the radio station and they were giving away tickets, but they just gave them to me.
Yeah.
And I went and my dad dropped me off at the FedEx Forum in
Memphis. Bitch, I've been there.
I was in like junior high, and I remember her singing "Cater to You." Let me cater to you. Well, them. Let me pay some respect to Michelle and Kelly.
100%
because there is a hierarchy, obviously, but I love all of them for unique reasons.
Yes.
So that was the first time I saw her, and then 2010 when I was living in DC. Do you remember the Good Morning America summer concert series?
Do I? I was a Diane Sawyer girly. Bitch. I was watching at 7 a.m. in the morning.
So Beyonce was promoting 4.
Yeah.
I was interning in DC. I took like a 10 p.m. bus from DC to New York, got dropped off what is now Hudson Yards, walked to Times Square, got a piece of pizza and probably a Dr. Pepper, and then walked my ass to Central Park and got in line at like 4 a.m. and stood there until they were letting people in. The sun rises, they start letting people in. The crowd is rushing, and people were not single file.
Yeah.
Let me tell you,
honey,
they were not single file. And so everyone starts rushing.
Me off.
Well, it pissed me off, but I was like, if everyone else is rushing, I'm motherfucking rushing.
Yeah, 100.
So I rush in and I get in, and I was by myself, and I was in a good spot, but I saw the barricades for the VIP section.
Yeah.
It was kind of chilly, so I had long sleeves on. I crawled under the barricades, and I was fat then.
Yeah. Well, honey,
that's a miracle I got under there.
Blessed
but
be.
I crawled under and just pulled my sleeve over so they couldn't see that I had a wristband. And I was fucking right there. And she's saying 1+1 on the white piano in the yellow dress. I fucking lost my mind, and then my phone died. This is predating portable chargers. Yeah. I went to the Apple store on fucking 5th Avenue, charged my phone. I was going to stay with a friend that night. It fell through, got back on a goddamn bus and went back to DC, and I would do it again right now. You want to fucking go?
Cut to 10 or so years later, you're showing us the same performance and making Sammy and I try to find you in the fucking crowd.
Oh my God, yes, I was like, I'm in there. It's me right around there. I mean, I have a Beyonce tattoo. Exactly. Like, I take this very, very, very seriously. And I was listening, Miley's promoting her new album.
Right.
And I was listening to an interview, and I think this is the perfect description. She was describing Beyonce as a mother to the universe.
Yeah.
She said that Beyonce has this aura and this power and this presence that is like a mother. And she compared her to Dolly, which is true. And Miley was like, I feel more like a friend.
Yeah.
And like, that is Beyonce. She is transcendent.
Yeah.
She is beyond everything. And I think that we should talk about and educate those who maybe don't know and maybe need to go in about the significance of her work and what it means to queer communities, trans communities, Black communities, women. Like, it is so much bigger than writing a song.
And I think that she's been doing that for so long, but it's not been in such a visual and like accessible and representative and clear way for so long. Like, she's been doing this for a long time, but I do think with like her acts that she's doing, this act 1, act 2, act 3, TBD on what that is, but she's giving the communities that have been unrepresented for their contributions, she's giving them their flowers.
She literally is shaping culture, shifting culture. She has a platform that she earned.
Right.
Bitch, she earned that. She is answering a calling that is something that we'll never understand. Like, they don't make them like her.
No.
And she is not using it for greed. She's not using it for whatever. I mean, yes, she's rich, she's a billionaire or whatever, but she is saying, like, one of the critiques that fucking pisses me off is like, Beyonce doesn't write all of her own songs. She has all of these collaborators. Well, bitch, Beyonce is way bigger than writing a fucking song. Not that she's not writing on it, but it's like the message she is sending is so much bigger. She is commentating on society at large. She is shifting the spotlight to the communities that need to be represented. She is giving the platform. She's amplifying the voices. She's elevating these experiences. Of fucking course, one person can't be everything to everyone. She is pulling in the people that are living it and saying, this is a Black experience. This is a queer experience. This is a country experience. And we need the world to know about it. And fucking who else has that power other than Beyonce? And that is why when people say that, I say, fuck off.
Yeah.
Like literally, fuck you.
Not to say anything for people who do write their own music and do write their own lyrics, like as the sole songwriter, but how else will you be able to truly represent a perspective than pulling other people from different experiences to share something so widely that is country music, or is, as Act 1 showed us, Black queer house dance music,
and pulling in people that are living that culture and telling stories of that culture. She is a creative visionary. She is the creative director, and she is telling stories, and she is shaping the way people view the world. And people are mad about it because they're racist, they're homophobic, they hate that she has this power. But it's like, she is obviously in the spotlight, but she's sharing that spotlight. She's creating this whole ecosystem where marginalized communities who have been whitewashed, or who didn't get their flowers, or who didn't have the chance, or all of these things, get to be represented in mainstream culture by one of, if not the most recognizable and influential people in the world done.
And what a beautiful way to do that is to take the history and then blend it with the influences on current culture to be able to make it understandable for people who are also either wanting to be inspired and wanting to educate themselves on the origins of country music or house music.
Yes.
But blending it in a beautiful way that makes people experience something for the first time.
Yes. And every single thing that she does is so intentional. There's not a detail missed. We had previously talked about the first ever Black Miss Rodeo Arkansas.
Yes.
Miss Arkansas Rodeo Queen. And literally, then all of a sudden, Beyonce's doing the halftime performance, and there she is.
Yeah.
Like, there are such intentional details put into everything she does. I mean, even the fact Cowboy Carter was written before Renaissance.
Yeah.
But she felt the world needed to dance.
Yeah.
And that is why she put out Renaissance first. And she highlighted Honey Balenciaga, Honey, notable people from all of the different ballroom scenes and Vogue houses. Like, she is telling their story because she has the platform, but she's not trying to tell it for them. She's bringing them in. She's including them. There are 4 Black country singers who are up and coming, who are now Grammy winners because Beyonce said, this is country music. This is the future of country music. I want to collaborate with you. That is power. That is beauty. That is sharing the spotlight and redirecting your fame to the people and the communities who are living it. And God, I don't know another person that's doing this in that way.
Who are living it and also not willing to sacrifice something that they love so much that they're going to put their neck out on the line to be able to have a dual identity when the world tells us that you can only be one type of person.
Exactly. And that is a good segue into some of the backlash. I mean, this all started with the CMA's performance with the Chicks, which let's talk about the Chicks on another episode because we love them. But it's like Beyonce performed on the CMAs and people lost their mind. They literally could not handle it. So much so that they took the fucking performance down because there was so much backlash about a Black woman performing on the CMAs. I named my chat GPT Lachlan after White Lotus. And I was talking to Lockie today because I wanted to remember some of the I wanted to remember some of the things that people were saying. And there was like a quote by fucking Travis Tritt. And it was like, I feel, insulted that we need pop stars to get ratings and reviews. You know what? Go cook your rice in the goddamn microwave with your fucking mullet and your goatee, because fuck you. And also, I loved that song growing up, and now fuck you, because that is racism, blatantly racism. Another comment that I saw was like, she thinks that just because Taylor can switch genres, she can too. Are you fucking kidding me? That is blatant racism with your whole fucking chest. And that is what people are commenting?
Yeah.
Like, what? Are you fucking out of your mind? I'm literally heated.
What I was thinking about when I was thinking about this specific stream of consciousness and the whole subject is her entry is not undermining what anyone is doing or what anyone has done before her.
No. Also, it's honoring the origins of what all of these she is honoring the origins of what all of these motherfuckers stand on.
Right.
That is the part that is so unsettling about my past. And I don't want to speak for you, but probably yours. It is really deeply uncomfortable to think about all that we have stolen from Black culture and honestly all cultures.
Yeah.
And to think I grew up and we started a podcast about our country roots and all of these things when it's like there's backlash from people in my fucking family that I see on the internet and people I grew up with that are hating Beyonce for making a country album because they are so brainwashed that they don't realize, and just like I didn't then, the origin of where all of this came from. And none of this would be possible. These sounds, the music, the instruments, the tone, the feel, like, fuck, like that is, it's uncomfortable, and it's uncomfortable to talk about it. It's uncomfortable to really sit with, but it's like, that is again, why we're talking about this, because we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have Reba. We wouldn't have all of these songs and anthems that we love without the history and influence of Black culture and the Black community.
Genres are a funny little concept, aren't they?
And they want to put people in fucking boxes.
To your point about like the backlash and what we were talking about with like, imagine what someone would have received at that time during like the height of like what we know or grew up with as like the civil rights revolution. Like, to have Linda Martell, the first commercially successful Black country artist, who's the first female Black person to sing country music at the Grand Ole Opry, to speak on the fact that genres are far too limiting and that you might have a limited listening experience by only listening to the definition of what a genre is or what Merriam fucking Webster says it is.
Honey, don't get Merriam in this.
Honey,
Fuck
I gotta speak to Merriam.
Honey, I'll speak to Webster.
Yeah.
God, we're stupid.
But literally, like, that is, I wrote down the like lyrics to her intro to Spaghetti because she's like, genres are a funny little concept, aren't they? Simple in definition, that's easy to understand, but in practice, well, some might feel confined. That's queer-coded country.
That is what everything is about. Like, that is Christian white nationalism, confining people, putting people in boxes, telling people how they have to live, telling people what they can and can't do. Even referencing back to our overcompensating episode when it was like, okay, now I'm gay, so this is the gay box.
Right.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
And that is one of the biggest queer-coded undertones is like, who gives a fuck about genres and putting people into specific categories? Like, let's celebrate living authentically.
Yeah.
Let's celebrate being who we are. Let's celebrate making art and making music. I mean, I'm not making music. Sometimes my ass claps, but but like, you know, let's make what feels good to us. And I am fired up because I worked so hard to get out of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wish that we could exist in a world where there are no genres, there are no boxes, there are no limitations, that people, kids, adults, anyone gets to celebrate. Like there is also a huge element of celebration in Cowboy Carter. It is about all of this reclamation, but it's also like, bitch, you
celebrate it.
You are here because of us, and let's celebrate that, and let's honor people like Linda Martell. Let's honor the people that made this possible. And that is fucking art.
What you were just saying is a perfect example of what we saw on stage via the example of using her children and incorporating her children in a way that is so empowering and educational. To have Blue walk out and do the Crazy in Love walk, to then transition into her dancing to Deja Vu.
Yes, bitch. Deja Vu.
Deja Vu.
Hello,
it's Beyonce. It's her saying, like, if we can educate the current generation on the origin stories and be accepting to the fact that people can change their mind and that people can bend the rules a little bit to create something new while also standing on the shoulders of the giants that came before us. This is the world that we want to see and create something so beautiful at the same time.
Yes, it's legacy. It's history. I swear to God, I've learned more from Beyonce than I've ever learned in, I won't say his name, but my fucking civics class. And that is honestly, I mean, I'm thankful to be out of it, but I'm also sometimes I'm like, God damn, I need to go back to school. I need to, like, I can't consume enough because it's like, fuck, we fucked up a lot of shit.
Yeah.
People are fucked up. The View, especially right now in this political climate, it's so fucked.
To what you're saying right now, it is a weird relationship that I have to it, because at the same time that I'm like regretful about how I learned things, I'm also extremely thankful for the way I learned things. And maybe that's because I'm coming from it from a queer person's lens, but I am able to see the like other side of it too.
Yeah.
And
well,
thankful maybe is not the right word, but
we always talk about that we are, well, one, we love being gay because being gay is better, but also that like it forced us out of a bubble.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, what you're trying to say is that like, had we just continued on and gone through the motions and whatever, like we wouldn't have been curious. We wouldn't have learned. We wouldn't have asked ourselves questions. We wouldn't have had hard conversations. We would have just stayed.
And thankful for the title holders in our lives that have exposed us to Beyonce title holder that have exposed us to
what's above a title holder. Her and Casey have to get something beyond that.
I mean,
God,
the heavenly gates,
Jesus.
But it is those people in our lives, whether they sat in the school desk next to us or the fact what we were listening to on our Walkmans.
Yeah.
Anyway, we were talking about the tour.
Yes. And now that we've been on our soapbox, we need to remind you that we saw the tour. We were sitting on the floor. We saw the tour floor.
We saw the floor tour.
I've got the door tour. That's what I was doing in my
I got it.
Okay. So let's recap. We took a party bus. Let's start there. Anthony, our hero. Anthony is our hero.
Ally.
Well, mostly. Had a lesbian sister, apparently.
He told me he supported the community.
I mean, he took photos with my ass.
Yeah.
I wore this, but I had a thong on.
Yep.
And we were sitting on the floor. Yep. And I need to start with the fact that I knew that on the floor, Beyonce's publicist and sometimes Miss Tina, who we need to do a whole episode on Miss Tina because she's my favorite follow, but that they do little runway or whatever. I'm gonna be honest, I was pretty fucked up. I was transcendent, some may say. And so we got down there and I wore proper underwear over my thong to like get in, you know, the whole thing.
JIC.
I was trying to get out of it, but I was so spiraling that I couldn't get out of it. And then I was like, I need to go to the bathroom, but then the bathroom was really far. And then all of these things happened. And I was like, I was tripping too hard.
Honey, I could have told you that was going to happen when I saw the tool chest come out and we were trying to punch a hole in your fucking leather chaps. I could have told you that it wasn't going to be easy to get in and out
and
of.
Honey, that's a lesson learned. Well, and that's growth.
But you still looked fucking amazing. Runway or not.
Thank you. And I did, it's all part of the story.
Yeah.
It's all part of it. And did I get to walk the runway? No.
Right.
Did I have the time of my fucking life? Yes. Was my ass out?
Yes.
Was I screaming so hard that a straight man, a few people in front of me, went out to get me a water so that I didn't have to miss anything and hand it to me and say, I know you need this, but I didn't want you to miss a minute, and give me an ice cold fucking water? That's allyship.
And that's what I was gonna, literally you took the words out of my mouth. I don't know where that man stands, but the fact that he did that and saw you living your life and loving what was happening in front of you so much so that he didn't want you to miss a moment. Like that is...
Happy Pride. Happy birthday, Liza.
Happy birthday,
That's
Liza.
how you be a fucking ally.
Pride Month is...
If you are listening and you are going to an upcoming Cowboy Carter show, take a queer a water.
Which, happy Pride Month, by the way,
oh
bitch.
My God. I can't even go there right now. But honestly, that was one of the craziest experiences. The way that she designed the show to feel like you're immersed no matter where you're sitting.
100%.
And the story and the visuals. And honestly, I don't know if I will recover, and I probably will have to see it again. And I'd love to know, what were some of your standouts? And if you're listening and you haven't seen it yet and you don't want spoilers, stop now, because I do not ever want a spoiler to a Beyonce concert, because part of the appeal to me is not knowing what that creative fucking genius is going to do and hearing how she calls back to old songs, how she transitions, what's going to go next. And I scream. I think at one point I was yelling at the dancers to sit on my face.
Yeah.
I was calling her mommy.
Yeah.
I was like,
you were.
I would.
Yeah.
I literally, when I tell you I had zero voice, there was nothing. I got like this, like nothing coming out, because I was in shock.
It was so incredible. I will say, speaking of like paying homage to your heritage and where you come from, obviously, I will talk about all of the things that I was obsessed with from like the more recent releases of hers. But the way that she did a medley of some of her old hits,
oh my God,
sent me to a place. It sent me to 9th grade art class. No, literally, it sent me to 9th grade art class, sitting in there singing Irreplaceable, and that being like, if Spotify Wrapped was that year,
oh my God,
it would have been #1, baby.
Okay, well, you fucking said 9th grade and it flashed me back. I was student council president. We did the first day of school, welcome, whatever. We performed the Single Ladies Dance. You think that was...
Hunter, that's one of my... entrees into you as a person, is that being a bit of yours.
That was a bit I did. I still do it. I still know it.
Yeah.
But I mean, bitch, if you like it, then you should have put a motherfucking ring on it.
Say it.
I've been doing that for over a decade now. Like literally just, and she did it.
Yeah.
And also, here's 2 things. So I've seen Beyonce 10 times. There's always a nod to Dangerously in Love, which is my second favorite song now, behind Two Hands to Heaven.
Yeah.
But she did that after Protector with her kids on stage. And she always calls back to I Care. And I do care about Beyonce. I told you not to hurt me. I messed up the words.
So good.
Because I just took a pee break and now my brain is frazzled. But anyway... I fucking cannot, even with the way that she so seamlessly integrates all of her past work and you think you're getting a little tease of it, and then maybe sometimes it's the full song. Bitch, I thought the concert was over 3 fucking times, and then we got a whole nother concert.
No, Candace looked over at me at one point, and she goes, "We're only an hour and a half in." I said, "An hour and a half?
What was time?" What was time and who was time?
Truly, she paid respect to her eras. Sorry, Taylor, but like...
Yeah, we don't have to apologize to Taylor. 2 different people.
2 different people with 2 different careers.
Yeah, honey, the level at which Beyonce, that bitch was flying over us 3 different times and riding a fucking mechanical bull.
When she got on the neon horseshoe, Hunter looks at me, and she flies around the stadium and flew over us during Heated to intro into Renaissance, which is another favorite. But Hunter looks at me and goes, "It looks like the county fair."
It did.
No, honey, she was looking like she was on the zipper.
Not the zipper,
yes, bitch.
I'm screaming right now, and I'm apologizing to producer Sammy because I was screaming the whole time because she saw us. She was out there. And the way that the commitment, watching her mouth move as bitch is singing live, honey, you see, I just can't explain it. And she gave us a rodeo. She gave us a county fair. She gave us a state fair. She said at the end, she said, "I'm going to come out closer to all of you because I want to make sure everyone has a good experience." That bitch never misses. She did it in the rain.
Look for me in the fucking video because right as she was coming over us, I had the Cowboy Carter fan flipped over my face and she started doing Heated. And I was just fanning myself and she was right over us and I could hear Heated and I was like,
oh my God. I'm literally, so as I was trying to get all my clothes off and get my thong on, the photographer and videographer was by me and noticed my Beyonce tattoo. And he was like, "Can I take a full video of your whole look?" I'm like, "Please.
Yeah.
Please.
Yes.
Please give us another special. Please let me be in it.
Period.
Please show this tattoo."
Yeah.
Like literally there was just so much. It just kept going. And then all of a sudden the bitch is singing opera.
No, okay. So to that point, my next favorite or one of my other favorite moments, because the whole thing was my favorite. And I'm having
the whole thing was my favorite.
Visions
I'm flashing back. I'm sweating. I'm Cowboy Cartering.
So she has this whole part where she intros her moment before she sings Daughter. And she has this like text above the screen that says, "This is theater." Whew. As she is letting modern and lyrical dancers, Black dancers, do their fucking work on stage and contorting their bodies. And she's done this before with Les Twins. Like she has done this for so long and letting people live their craft. She did it with the clogger and wearing the foxtails.
The river dance.
She did it with the fucking band and letting them do that. Let's also call back to Homecoming when she had HBCU performers in Homecoming.
Yes.
Like she was giving art and theater the whole time. And she said, "This is theater. This is my perspective on what the larger themes of what's going on in this country are."
Yes.
And that is what the whole performance was about. And I will never forget that. It was giving high drama. It was giving Baz Luhrmann inspired. It was giving opera. And she sang opera in Daughter, wearing an LED light, beautiful gown that
was showing a fractured flag that represents the fractured state of America and the fact that this ain't it.
Yes.
And I know when the dancers would come out, especially the river dance cloggers and tap dancers, I was like, Tucker is shuffle stepping his little tushy off right now.
100%.
Like that is it. And that is the whole thing. Like when you think it's done, when you think it's over, when you think you've seen something you've never seen before, she gives us something else. And honestly, back to the intentionality of it all.
Yeah.
The specific version of the Star Spangled Banner that she's saying is what Jimi Hendrix sang at Woodstock in protest of the Vietnam War.
Yep.
Her including Blackbird on the album was so intentional because that is what the Beatles wrote because they were disgusted about what happened with the Little Rock Nine, which is in our home state.
It is, and I will be honest, I'm not a huge Beatles fan.
Oh, me either.
Which
I'm a Beyonce covering the Beatles fan.
So I didn't know that was inspired by the Little Rock Nine.
That's why we're learning because they don't teach us these things.
Right.
I felt the same. My mom and dad grew up in Blytheville, Arkansas. They were born in the 60s. They went to one of the early integrated schools. Like, this was not that long ago.
Yeah.
And the way it was taught to us was that it was like ancient history.
Yeah.
It is still present today. It's
so
still
scary.
happening. It's getting worse in some areas. And, I think, again, that goes back to the meaning of this, the intentionality that she brings. She covered that song to honor those 9 little girls. She covered that because it's important. And that is the message of Cowboy Carter. And honestly, when she comes out and she's wearing, at least for the show that we saw, a bodysuit covered in racism, slurs, propaganda, things that have been said about her, her response is to fucking fuck it up on the stage and say, you aren't going to bring me down. I am going to tell this story. I'm going to have this message. I'm going to sing the fucking Star Spangled Banner. I'm going to wrap my all black, my queer, my trans dancers in the American flag, because there is no America that and that we were taught and that has been whitewashed without these communities and without these stories. And that is, to me, what is so honestly humbling, but also uncomfortable to have to sit there. I mean, my family, there is a deep-rooted history of racism and of all of these things. I'm very fortunate that it doesn't exist in my immediate family, but outside of that, it is very dark. And I was fortunate to live in a bubble for a long time. And it is because of art like Cowboy Carter. It is because of artists like Beyonce. It is because we're queer. It is because we had to live in a marginalized world that we do have the curiosity and that we are pushing the limits of what we understand, and that we're not just going to sit and accept what we were told or what has been written. Bitch, we were watching fucking Cold Mountain in Fire Island this week, and I was like, I don't really know anything about the Civil War. And that's by design, because it is beneficial to keep people uneducated. It is beneficial to whitewash. It is beneficial to have a revisionist version of history that serves greed and power and, honestly, cis white men.
Yeah.
Well, hey.
Hey.
Fuck.
Whew.
I mean, honestly, we could go on this for days, and there's never a world that we could have captured everything we felt.
Yeah.
There's never a world where we could have captured every perspective. There's never a world where we could have unpacked it all. But God, we'll follow up, babe. We'll circle back.
And if you are listening, I would love to hear what your experience was and your take was. So you can email us at howdy@queercodedcountry.com, because I'm genuinely curious.
Yes.
Like, if you have a different experience or different take, I would love to know it. Or just not even a different take, but just a unique perspective that brings light to something that we haven't uncovered or that we need to educate ourselves on.
Because this is all about learning.
Yes.
I mean, that is what art pushes us to do. And that is what we're trying to do. And again, back to the earlier statements that we made, we saw queer narratives in this.
Yeah.
And it was for someone else. And maybe you see yourself in it.
Yeah.
Maybe you see something that's happened to you if we aren't curious, if we aren't willing to change, if we aren't willing to consider something that is very different from what we were indoctrinated to believe, then what are we doing?
My parting shot is open yourself up. Open yourself up. Be exposed to something new. Pretend you didn't learn what you learned and try to experience something as if you were experiencing irreplaceable as a 9th grade artist.
Bitch.
A 9th grade artist. That's
oh
me,
my God. Look at what you've evolved into. I think I am going to finish the way that I started.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say, never ask permission for something that already belongs to you.
And if that's not the thesis of what Cowboy Carter is, and the tour and the visuals and the people that she is bringing on stage to support and celebrate not only just the music, but the art of country music, from the clogging, from the instrumentalists to the dancers to the band music, like all of it is wrapped into one. And you just said everything that you needed to say.
And we're reclaiming Yeehaw to Yes Queen. We never gave it away, but we're reclaiming it. This is the part where producer Sammy will flash things on the screen that we have talked about during this episode, and we will rate it on a scale of Yeehaw to Yes Queen.
Good morning, America. Ooh.
Whoa. I think it's only Yes Queen, because I think in the South, aren't people only Fox News, not ABC? Like, isn't it too liberal?
See, I am a proponent of you should be watching network news and not like 24-hour news.
Well, you are a journalism major and you did run KATV, so I'm going to trust you on this one.
I'm going to say Yes Queen because there are legends that haunt the halls of ABC. God.
Great. Leather chaps, bitch. Ooh. They're fucking both. Let me answer.
They are both.
Because Lane Frost wore something similar when he was riding fucking bulls. And honestly, I'll probably get fucked in this.
And that's
Yeehaw.
The Crossroads, and baby.
Crossroads, Britney Spears. Add that to the episode list. They're both Yeehaw and Yes Queen.
The zipper. Wow.
I'm perplexed.
Is she stumped?
I mean, did you ever make out in the zipper?
No, because I was too afraid. because I was too afraid to be flipped upside down because I had such a fear of like puking. And so I was so afraid that that's what I was going to do. But I'm going to say that it's Yeehaw because the zipper is present in a lot of small communities and it gives a lot of people joy. And I think it gives a lot of people a thrill and a ride of a lifetime that they haven't experienced when they haven't seen Cowboy Carter.
Yes, and honey, Leon Locken was a carny putting together that zipper, and for that I say, yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've really summarized this,
honey. I'm heated.
We
didn't even talk about the fact that we got another Renaissance, but we'll save that for later. There will be a follow-up, and to that we say,
y'all come back now, you queer.
Queer Coded Country is created and hosted by Hunter Poole and Tucker Travis, produced and edited by Sammy Junio.